I just wanted to kind of mention the common mistakes people make when they are breath testing. Shall I run through a few?
Please. Yeah, we were talking about this ahead of time, and you had a bunch that you go ahead and say them.
Well, we occasionally get people, you get a test comes back and you have to go, did that person actually take the lactulose solution, which you do a control breath sample, then you drink the lactulose solution, or glucose if they're doing a glucose test. And occasionally people have forgotten to do that. Occasionally people have mixed up their tubes, so they're in the wrong order, so we get odd kind of spread of pattern. Sometimes there's a little hole in the bag and people tape up the hole in the bag. But doing the breath test, there was, I think, was it January or February, there was a collection, and were you on the panel that sat on the new rules for the kind of...
I wasn't on the panel, but yeah, we have new North American breath test consensus. It just came out in March, and I actually wrote a review of it in my newsletter, and it's a wonderful article.
Which is great. And one of the new things that seems to have been really clarified there is that if people are constipated, they should follow the PrEP diet for 2 days. And if they're not constipated, they just follow the PrEP diet for 1 day. And this is a special diet. It's quite restrictive and it's quite interesting. I ask people to write down their symptoms whilst doing the PrEP diet and during the test, because that can give a little bit of an insight into what's going on. And it's basically a diet that doesn't contain anything that's fermentable by the bacteria. So when people drink the solution, which is fermentable by the bacteria, we don't get the confusion of, was that dinner you had last night or is that the drink you just drank? Mm-hmm. So I think, if people don't PrEP diet properly, we have to have a little conversation and kind of make sure that they have to help us interpret the results. And then the other thing is fasting for 12 hours. Some people don't quite manage to do it properly, which again can kind of give slightly confusing results that might kind of... So I don't know if you have any...
Those are probably the main ones. I think the two main that I hear about is, people fiddling with the breath test collection mechanism, taping things up and thinking things shouldn't be the way they are, and not following the PrEP diet. There's a little bit of, I guess you could say, cheating that can be gotten away with, like especially if it's the breakfast, because the PrEP diet's done for the day before the test. You have a special diet, you fast overnight, and then the next morning. So if the breakfast before you had, a baby carrot or something like that, it might turn out okay. But you'll be able to tell if people have really cheated badly the way the results look, at least in the classic pattern, which is that the control sample before, it's just called the baseline, that will be elevated and it will likely be the highest breath sample of gas in the entire at least in the first 2 hours. And that lets us know if somebody did the PrEP diet wrong. So, we can tell.
Yeah, we can. We can see the cheaters.
Yeah.
They don't do it on purpose.
So don't cheat.
Know, yeah.
And the other thing I always like to tell people is it's just 1 day, it's like it's not, one day of your life, like, not going to go on forever. And also, as you were indicating, a lot of people will feel significantly better because they've immediately taken out all the fermentable carbs.
And that is just like, to me, I was like, oh, that's a really big box that's been ticked there. That really helps. Because sometimes the results can be slightly inconclusive and you have to do a lot of interpreting in between, have a lot of conversations. But things like that really help to make a decision. And I've actually had a gastroenterologist prescribe rifaximin off the back of the symptoms somebody had whilst doing the breath test. Test looked negative, but the way that they responded to it made the gastroenterologist treat. So it's so worth keeping a track. And when people receive one of our SmartSibo breath tests, they do get an A4 document where they can keep track of how they are beforehand and during. And then they obviously get a full set of instructions as well with some meal ideas and menu ideas. So it's not like we kind of go, off you go on your own. We do try and support people through that. So I kind of think people do need to pay attention to that to make sure they get the best information they can so that we can do our best to help them, really. That's
exactly.
Yeah. So like you say, it's just 1 day. Unless you're constipated, then it's 2.
Well, right. Right. I should have said that.
My name is Emma Wells and I'm a nutritional therapist with over 15 years experience specialising in digestive disorders and digestive testing. I'm currently studying functional medicine, having completed my digestive module last year, and I am the founder of Smart Nutrition, SmartSibo Test, and IBS and SIBO clinics.